Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, yes, Bode Ojomu joins us now. He's the former acting National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, Chambali.
Well, yes, the president. The president did have that media chat, the presidential media chat. Usually, there's always this expectation of people want to hear, okay, what is he going to say about the developments within the polity? He spoke on so many things. Yes, he spoke on the CBN, security, kerosene subsidy. Maybe I should even start off with this kerosene subsidy because following the CBN governor's suspension, and we also heard the hue and cry from people out there who think that it does come across to them as though that suspension was aimed at taking away their attention, or maybe in somewhat crippling any investigation or hearing into that allegation of a certain missing $20 billion. How do you think all of that played? When people said that, what was your perception?
Well, good morning, everybody. My perception is this, is that I think we are losing objectivity and looking at issues, that we're supposed to be nationalistic about. When I mean being nationalistic instead of being too political, the kerosene we talk about, the points have been made time and time again. Like I heard the minister saying that the cost they bring in this thing, if they sell it to the public, they'll be uproar. And you and I don't use kerosene.
How do you know I don't?
No, we are not in the class of people that use kerosene.
Looks
we use gas.
Deceptive.
No. I'm sure I know what I'm saying. I know people who use kerosene in my community. They are the people, upcoming the ladder.
I'm almost thinking you're working for the SSS.
No. These are just basic things we know around. We know people who use kerosene. But the people trying to come up the ladder in society, I don't want to call them poor.
But is it available? Because they said that.
Well, significantly, it has, it's better than what we used to have. But I think you have raised more pertinent question, which I would like to dwell in. Because you are trying to connect the supposedly missing fund with the kerosene subsidy, and the reaction of the president to it, and now add with the issues being generated in the polity. And I want to react like this, like I tried to lay the premise. Issues that we're supposed to be nationalistic, we are too partisan and political about it, and lost our objectivity to look things beyond the way they appear. And I've said this on your program before. We have this public problem. You drive on the road and the bike man hits you wrongly, and you are right. The quick response is that the people gathered and begin to yap you because you are the big man. I think the scenario is also painting out in this, the president and the Sanusi issue. Now, Sanusi is aware he was being investigated before now. And to me, I feel that what Sanusi has been doing, like the other time I didn't come so openly, I said he wants to gain political mileage. But facts is beginning to evolve to show that what Sanusi is trying to do is what I've told my colleagues as what I call the Samsonic school of thought. It's in the Bible. Samson, having lost everything, his eyes have been gouged out. And you look at the last strength that he has in him and say, let me pull everybody that want to see my hand, let me pull them down there. I think that Sanusi is trying to do something like that. He was being investigated before now. Let me make my point quickly. And then, anyone, and he has showcased so much integrity, which I call holier than thou to the public. We know. Just like if you call them to come and cast the first stone, I doubt if you'll be able to cast the first stone. But the point is this: what is so special, or what has distinguished the governor of the central bank? We're not talking about Sanusi now. What has so distinguished the current holder of the office of the CBN governor from every other officers as a public servant that the government have hired or put in position of authority? I do not want to believe that the intendment of the law is to place the CBN governor above the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's point number one. Point number two, I do not also think that the purpose of that law is to make the CBN governor a law unto himself. Remember, he told the National Assembly that they cannot oversight him. ask you, are you saying now that because we want to secure and protect the independence of the CBN governor, if he drives on Ikorodu Road, and by error, maybe he want to drive leisurely because he's a big man, he has to be chauffeur. On his own, he drives on Ikorodu Road, and by sheer accident, he kills someone. Is he insulated by law? The police should not arrest him.
Okay,
but beyond that, please, the president's action, to my mind, as the president has said, and I think that, in fact, without really overflogging this issue, the last speaker, Barrister Oluyede, has really cleared the air on that, and I don't know, I don't think he belongs to any political party. Okay. He has cleared it.
So you agree that the NNPC MD2 should go?
If anybody run foul of the law, or in the judgment of the president, whose the buck stops on his table, feel that an officer he has put in position, can be, there can be thought from the public that is engaged in what is called misconduct, and the president in his judgment feel that this person will be disreputable to his administration, he can place him on suspension. And on this suspension thing, for the Sanusi, suspension is different from removal. We have scholars of language, but people do not want to see the difference between removal and suspension. And suspension. If you are being investigated within the purview of the rules of engagement in public service, you cannot sit in office while you are being investigated.
And you don't think that there's, because they also raised the issue of timing. As much as they may have all those reports, all those allegations, all those findings from the FRC, and do you think there's any issue with timing at all?
Chamberlain, you see, one thing I've noticed with this president is that his statesmanship is drawn too far. You understand? What I mean by statesmanship, you see all the noise made about Odua. See the noise, see all the noise that even the CBN governor has been engaged in history from the era of Ola Vincent. Tell me which of the CBN governor has entered into such controversy or trying to throw stones when he lives in a glass house, being a part of government that you have seen, and you think that is decorum?
No, I'm not looking at the action now. I'm looking at timing, because people say, much as, well, they may have a point if FRCN's reports can be relied upon if they conclude the investigation.
I don't see any problem with timing. If the president in his statesmanship disposition want to be clear with all the issues, that the man is going in June, which initially said is March, that the man is going in June, and there are suggestions that he has abused the privileges and the mandate of his office, and is being investigated. It doesn't need to wait till the end of the office before that is done. I don't see anything wrong with the timing.
But you've been in publicity. You know the importance of perception.
Yes.
If you mean well,
and
I perceive you mean otherwise, that's a problem.
Yes, that's a problem there. But you see, the good job you are doing here, really, is that why the people who thought otherwise, or who have an axe to grind either with the ruling party or with the president, or who have personal issues, or who want to gain political mileage, to give a dog a bad name and then position their own party for future electoral success, can look at issues the way they do. But what you guys are doing as a leading a platform for such discourse is that we can put the issues, like in justice, we can put the issue on this side and the other side, and the public can make their decision. There are rational thinkers. There are a lot of people who are rational in their thinking. And you and I know that you cannot tell, your employer or the presiding officer that he cannot check you or he cannot checkmate you. So the timing, it depends where we belong. Some of us believe that, in fact, the presidents are delayed. Because you are aware, I've not seen any governor of central bank that has gone to his home state to go and donate 100 million.
Well, anyway, I think
open house. Even the president, I won't spare him 48 hours.
Well,
these are issues.
There are so many other issues the president discussed on that night, and one of it was the fight against the insurgents, and just 24 hours or less than 24 hours after that chat he had with journalists, we saw the unfortunate incident that happened in Yobe State. Do you think we are actually doing enough to curtail the excesses of the group Boko Haram?
The Boko Haram. Well, it will be very unfair and a disservice to our country that have intervened in other countries like Liberia, and we have delivered and restored peace in that country, to say that the military of the presidency is not doing enough. Their best may not have given all the deliverables we expect, but it's very wrong and it's a disservice to our nation for anyone for whatever political advantage to feel that nothing is being done. You see, the real political will, may not have been put in place by the people who govern that state. Remind you, most of it's very unfortunate anyway that what is happening is happening. Nobody is excited about it. But to want to situate or place the body of all that is happening that goes wrong at the table of the president, at the same time, on the other side, be asking for state autonomy within a proper federation, I think there's something wrong there. I have a little problem there. I also do not agree that as the chief security officer of a state, even if you observe that the Boko Haram, better motivated in quotes or have stronger firepower, as the chief security officer, you cannot be the enemy's propagandist. That's my own personal conviction. You cannot be the chief propagandist for the enemy that you are engaged against. Even if you notice that, if you must speak to the public, with due respect to His Excellency Governor Shetima Obonu, I think that statement ought to come in a different way, like someone is in charge, not a victim.
A lot of people call it a frank
yes,
statement.
You see, when you say frank, when you say things are frank, it depends who is saying it. We cannot make you what's this? We cannot be the chairman of this estate down the LSDPC or of a local government, and then you now come on here again complaining about bad road. Then why were you there in the first instance? What's your role there?
A quick
So,
one.
but you see, by and large, I just need quickly to make this point. When things have not got to the point that we desire, that should not suggest that nothing has been done or nothing is being done.
Has the president started his campaign? Because he's been paying visits to some traditional rulers. He also mentioned that in his chat. For some people, especially the opposition, they think it's a subtle way of campaigning.
No. Well, the president has said it all. And as a sitting president, you can feel you can pay private visit or courtesy visit to people you consider very significant in society, like national institutions, or choose to felicitate.
Just a year before the elections.
The campaign is not the time. I'm sure the president is not doing any campaign, but you see, imports are right to everything, that is being done. Just to say, okay, let's gain some political money.
Rightly so, because as Mark puts it, it's close to the election. So what else do you expect anyone?
But he has not the campaign time is not yet here.
How do we know when campaign truly starts? Is it that there's going to be an announcement away from the Electoral Act now?
Yes.
Because it is quite difficult for anyone to hold any politician and say you have actually flouted this section of the Electoral Act.
Yes.
What is a campaign to politicians like yourself and your party?
Well, it's a loaded question, but what I will tell you is that there's a timeline to start campaign. If I want to aspire for an office, I must first start with a public expression that I want this office. Yes, that I want this office. But people read a lot to body language, and to us, if you want, you could be calling goodwill, or trying to exercise your good office, proof visit and whatever.
Or you could
But-
test the grounds.
What do you say?
Test the waters.
Well, whichever. But it is not out of place. But when the proper campaign starts, I will first have to make a public declaration, an expression of interest. Then that time, the language will change. If you give me the mandate, I will do this. But you don't find such language now. You know, the language you can find in the president's utterances is trying to encourage Nigeria, you know, for peace. Government is doing its best and whatever. But the language you have to change, you know, in a proper campaign.
All right, Bode Ojomu.
Please, I need one point I need to make,
Okay.
and I may not have that opportunity.
Okay.
It's still on this CBN something. And the point I want to make is that there have been federal government intervention in the past, even during Soludo, and even under Yaradua. When the 5,000 denomination note was to come in place, there was apart from the resolution in National Assembly, there was a federal government directive which was acknowledged by the then CBN governor. When they want to do the nomination from coins to paper and whatever, there was presidential intervention. And these are issues so that we can help our public not to see every issue from a political angle.
Oh yeah, but we understand that he has filed fresh suit challenging his suspension. So
Well,
I think
so the court can take care of that. Yes.
It will all be sorted out. All right, Bode Ojomu is the former acting and national publicity secretary of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you so much.
We're back in just a moment. Join us again.